Welcome back to the Flogsville podcast, the round 5 wrap. Joining me, we've got Coach Daniel Rabet here. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Scott. Fantastic to be here during the day. Bit of an unusual experience, but still good to be on board.
Very good. Very unusual. A little bit of scheduling and different sort of plans, but making use of the school holidays, which is ideal. And joining us, we're a coach short, but we've still got the coach of Guns N' Roses, Ben, joining us. Hello, Ben.
Hi, mate. Yes, pleasure to be here. And unlike the two of you, I'm not on school holidays, just finding a little time at work. So, no, it all works well, and we'll see what we can get done in the daylight. So,
very good, mate. Let's get stuck into it, boys. Let's start with our pig of the week this week, and what was a low-scoring round. Due to a few underperforming players in particular, and also a few sides holding Paddy Cripps. So a little bit of an underwhelming sort of round, but cruising towards a 21-45, and he's going pretty well, fair to say, is my God, your Liberatore. Hugh Stone, of course, boys, led by a massive score from his captain, who he traded in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Bailey Smith, obviously, the man you talked, Scotty, top scorer of the round for him. And there was rumours during the week that he'd bring him in, and then an away trip to Melbourne actually across the weekend. So didn't have much correspondence across that time, but no doubt checking his scores to get the loophole in for him. So backline very solid, and the only real concern there would be Big Brody in the ruck, which I'm sure we'll touch on with others as well. But very solid week for him.
Yeah, great result for Hugh. I must admit, I think the last couple of weeks I've backed against him, and he's proven wrong both times. So pretty strong side he's sort of developing there, and even Chera sort of delivering the goods with a 90 this week, which would be pleasing for him.
Yep.
And Bailey Smith really seeming the in-form sort of ball magnet of the comp at the moment. So, whacking the VC on him, a great move.
No, excellent work from Hugh. He's firmly entrenched in the top 4, boys, and looks set to really be in the finals, which is what we like to see. Of course, we go from such a high to a little bit of a low this week, and we've got, unfortunately, Dale with a 1957 was our spud of the week, boys. Disappointing week for the B Sharps, but we've got to mention what happened in 1957. It's rude not to. So a few different things I've got here, a few fun facts about 1957. The first Frisbee was released for sale, so it's a toy. Bizarre, but that's apparently true. What else have we got here? We've got the Suez Canal crisis in Egypt. That was a crisis in a canal. Moving right along. What else have we got here? Oh, not too much. The first sort of space rocket starting the space race was in 1957 with the Sputnik 1, which is ironic because he is Spud of the Week. That's pretty much it for 1957, boys. But disappointing for Dale. What went wrong for him?
Just amazing, Scotty. All those things just feel like yesterday, really. Disappointing week for Dale, considering he did just whack the straight C on Bailey Smith and pumped out a big score. But very tight race for the spud of the week. I reckon one of the tightest races ever, with about 3 or 4 teams within 20 points of it. But just probably the similar sort of issues to what we've said the last few weeks. Not a terrible side really with Dale. Just had one of those weeks where a few guys have probably let him down, and there's a few guys who'd probably like to move on. But a funny one this week. Probably not as spuddy as some other ones.
I think you mentioned there, Rabs, there's 4 teams I can see within 8 points of spud of the week. So the likes of the midfielders, Burton and Hills, have to have a sigh of relief there for that. Unfortunately, not much going right, as you mentioned, Rabs. But back to your sort of content there, Scotty. We're going to have to think of some new content once the scores get above the current year that we're in.
I know. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I don't know what we'll do. Yeah. But anyway, we'll move on, boys, to our first matchup. It was the Crouching Lions getting a narrow victory. A lot of close games this week. Getting a nice 50-point victory over Hoffleberry FC, boys. And for Brett, once again, just another win on the board. Gets himself up into 4th place. Electing to hold Paddy Cripps is a notable one there. But any other pods that stand out for you?
On the Surge's side, his captain there, Ben Keys, looks like an inclusion this week for Sid Cripps. So, he'd have to be happy with that return. Unfortunately, not to be, though. That 50-point margin, too much to make up. But, again, we mentioned him last week, but Angus Brayshaw in the midfield there, brought in a couple of weeks ago and only going to 75. Would have something to do with it. But, Brett's always pretty solid, and as always, not many people missing out for him. So, very accustomed to the top 4 as Brett, particularly at the end of the year, and rolling quite nicely to start this year. So.
I think I'm right in saying that Surge is currently 1-4. Just trying to have a quick look, which I think is probably not really reflective of his side at the moment. He's been quite unlucky a few weeks, and most games that we've sort of looked at the matchups, he's a definite chance. So I don't think that's really reflective of where he's at. But just a good solid win as usual for Brett.
Yeah, too right there. Surge has had a bit of a tough draw. We haven't quite got a huge scale of hardness. The Triple H, what was it called? Trying to remember. But we'll get to work on that with the draw and a bit of analysis and that sort of thing, hopefully in the coming weeks. All right, boys, let's skip ahead now to Team GC going down narrowly to King Kunta getting their first victory of the year, I believe, boys. Again, a close matchup, but just Bailey Smith really standing out there for Peter, and Christian Petrarca with the C next to his name also.
Yes, absolutely, Scotty. Sorry, just a little bit of confusion there with the lack of guests here today. Lot of pods. I think the silence is just indicative of the scrolling we're having to do to look at all the pods in this matchup. But I think you hit the nail on the head. Bailey Smith and Max Scorn, probably the two main ones that have got the job done there for PG. But similar sort of story with Team GC. I don't think they really deserve to be 0-5. They've had chances. A couple of things have gone wrong. A few captaincy choices have gone astray. So disappointing for Team GC, because I think they've showed more promise, but unfortunately they are 0-5, and they're the only winless team in the competition at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, I think just touching on Zach again there quickly, Jaden Short with a 0-point last quarter certainly hasn't helped him as a unique player. When you go down with 30 points and someone like him goes for 30, 40 below what he's been producing, that's realistically, where the game's been won and lost. I think, he's not the only one with Luke Miller, but he's paid a big price tag for him this year. And another unique going below 100, again, would be what he was hoping. But with Sicily there having his 60-point first quarter on Monday, could have been a shout, but not to be, unfortunately. So I think you're right, Rabs. I think he's not far away, but unfortunately, he's quite familiar with the bottom of the ladder. So.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one with those big midfielders only really scoring just over 100. Apart from Bailey Smith and Andrew Brayshaw, everyone else is sort of very similar, which has been a bit of a different feel this year. Normally there's some standout guys doing 120 every week, but at the moment it seems to be everyone's about that 100 to 110. It's made it very even. All right, let's move on, boys, to our next matchup. Rabs, you had a narrow 10-point victory over Phenomenal Win, a big win for your boys. Talk us through this one, mate.
Yeah, huge win. I think, again, probably the story of my year, to be honest. Got a bit lucky this week. We've had some good luck so far to be 4-1, but Yeah, I think on. I mean, I only have one pod who went over 100, so I think in that in itself sort of says that we were a little bit lucky. But yeah, the key one was probably me trading out McCartan for J-Mac from Sydney, which Fenno left McCartan on field, which sort of gave me 40, 50 points there. And then the loophole going with who did I go with? Neil, I think it was as the VC. And Fenno had the same option and didn't. And he also had Rochelle on field instead of Hayes, which cost him 17 points, and I've only got up by 10. So, yeah, pretty fortunate to get the win, if I'm honest. And yeah, I guess for my boys, probably similar to what you're saying, Scotty. Like spent big on Took Miller and hasn't delivered, unfortunately, this year. So a little bit just plodding along at the moment. But yeah, happy to get the win, especially against Fenno.
I think this is a justified result after Friday night's antics. Rabs, for those unaware, obviously, Secret Trinity not quite revealing his team at team announcements or team selections. So I think a little bit of shadows or smoking shadows or whatever they say for him. But I think Tom's got a lesson there just to be up front and suit up type thing. So unfortunately, his inclusion for Cripps in desk led couldn't get 10 more points or 11 more points for him. But he's a quality team, Tom, so I'm sure he will respond. Absolutely.
2 top 8 teams, I think, this year. A little bit about Justin McInerney too, Rabs, isn't there? There's a little bit of something about him.
Yeah, something about just about half of Sydney's team, I think, at the moment. So a bit of spunk and pizzazz, which is good. So it doesn't get any more points, unfortunately. But
no, it doesn't, unfortunately. All right, let's move on to yet another close matchup, boys. This one was even closer with a name change alert. The Keys going down to the Sisterhoods. The Sisterhoods earning their second victory of the season, boys, and moving up to just outside the 8. Talk us through this one, because this was an exciting matchup with both sides having the same amount of points for both captains.
Yeah, so didn't we live through that one on Friday? Obviously what you're alluding to there, Jake, not taking Neil's 119 and whacking on McRae to completely match his score. We lived through this one. Lots of stress in the Bulldogs Roos game with lots of players playing in the likes of Cherry and CD providing the goods for the students. But it was left out of Tommy Stewart. Couldn't quite get the 105, I think it is there, to get the victory on Monday. So I believe there was a lot of cash in the bank for Jake. Whether that decision remains to be seen. But the area of big concern for the Sisterhoods would have to be Matt Rowell being in this matchup. You'd think that he will not be there for much longer. But great win for him.
Yeah, just echo the same thing. So I think it can't. It has to be noted that the name change. I think the original name was Keys to Success, and for the week that they've brought about that name change, there's no success. So might be something in that for Jake. But very tight matchup. Not often you see 2 different captains with the same score, which is quite interesting. And good win for the Sisterhoods moving forward.
Very much so. All right, let's move on to another side who got their first victory. It was Total Eclipse at the Heart, Daniel's side, getting the job done by just a slim margin over the Midsfielders, boys. The Midsfielders obviously picking up their first win last week and then unfortunately going down to Daniel's side. But let's have a look through this matchup, boys. Where was it won and lost?
Pretty gross matchup, really. Just having a quick look through it, but just a summary of Mids. His fantasy sort of set up in that, like, knocks you off Scotty one week, then loses to Hills, who's had a sneaker so far after. Riley Bonner just epitomising that with a 37 after I think it was 125 or something the week before.
Yeah.
So huge differential. Hills fielding Brady Hoff on field is interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. So. 6 points. There's not much more to be said, really. Bailey Smith probably getting the job done for Hills. That'd be the main thing.
Yep.
Yeah, bizarre matchup, really, when you look at it. I didn't have a close look at this one over the weekend, but just reviewing it now, Mitch Duncan, Tommy Mitchell and Sam DeConing in that final game to win by 6 points. DeConing has been a regular fixture there for Hills with a really nice average of 32 or whatever he's producing in the back line. But I think Rowan Marshall really this week, Ryder out, and Marshall, obviously that sole ruck again, or first ruck at least, has sort of match scored there. And realistically, that's probably where Mids' advantage was taken away. So, that win for Hills gets him off the bottom, straight up to 17th. I can see on my ladder. So, only positive things, I think, for the Crips, hopefully.
Excellent, boys. All right, let's move up to your matchup, Ben, up against the Burp and Burt Burtons. You got the job done quite comfortably in what was a bit of a down week for the Burtons, who have had a strong start to this year. A couple of his guys, Matty Rao, sticks out there as a player of difference. What were your thoughts on your side's victory?
Yeah, quite comfortable margin in the end, but I didn't think it would be like that to start with. Having chatted with Brad early in the round, it was looking like he was going to go down the double downgrade path, and that's what happened. And we both kept Proust and Cripps. So with myself making an upgrade and getting Rao off the field, that was basically the game. But yeah, again, not many guys missing out for myself as opposed to Brad, who Rochelle covering for Cripps with a 50 and was sort of lucky to get there. But yeah, I think long term, maybe this week has been good for him, but couldn't get the win. So yeah, we'll take the win and move on.
Just Andrew Brayshaw just continuing to get it done. I think you mentioned it earlier, Scotty, the lack of mids who are really pumping out big scores, but he's probably one of 2 or 3 who have this season. So what was it about him, Ben, that really inspired that selection coming to round 1?
I didn't mind his uniqueness, but I also liked how he puts his points together in the way of he tackles, he marks, he tends to kick a goal every couple of weeks. So realistically, I picked him with the hope that Fife would be playing and Fife would get that attention, but it hasn't really seemed to bother him this year. So obviously Freo playing well, and he epitomises that. And, that 123 could have been a 140, 150 as he was sitting on 110 at 3/4 time. So, he seems to be racking up points with ease, and we're very, very happy to have his services. So,
and just a hat ranking check, please, Ben. Can you update everyone?
Absolutely, yes. We've blown out from 25 to 66 this week, but that was always going to happen with the trades we did last week. So not to worry too much, but hopefully, the moves of holding Cripps will do us good moving forward.
Excellent. All right, let's move on to my matchup. It was a close affair, really, against the Glen Mountain Fan Club and Sean Newell, whose side put up a decent amount score, really. Like Jack Sinclair was excellent. Same with Gresham on 99 and a few others like Zach Bailey. But Brody Grundy really cost it for Sean, I guess. If Grundy scores his normal 80 or 90, he gets the job done. So he was a little bit unlucky there. Newley, I liked his move of Sam Walsh coming in and putting the C on him. He was outstanding. So just, Rao and Grundy really costing Newley there. But apart from that, his side is looking pretty good, boys.
Yeah, disappointing result for Sean, given his score. I imagine, I haven't looked at it properly, but I reckon 4th or 5th highest score for the round and going down, possibly even higher than that. So, promising. I think, third. Yeah, very unlucky, but promising signs, as you said. Clayton Oliver doing nicely for him. Jack Sinclair appears to be a really impressive selection now. I think it was a bit of an odd one at the start of the year, but yeah, you're right. Brody Grundy proving vital in that matchup, really. And good win though for your boys though, Scott. Not far off the pig again.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing further to add, but you've got to be happy with holding Cripps and producing that sort of score, Scotty. So obviously moves made for this week, but with the long term as well. So ominous for other teams, I'd suggest.
No, it was nice. Kicking myself a little bit. I had Max Gawn as captain, and then I chickened out and played safe with Josh Dunkley's 105, which was a bit frustrating looking at that game. But apart from that, it was nice to see guys like Chera. Heaney's playing a lot of forward, which is concerning long term, but it's good that he's scoring at the moment. But yeah, we keep moving on, and fingers crossed that Cripper gets up this week, that's for sure. All right, let's move on to our second place side, boys, and he's been fantastic. McRae, you've done it again, and Sam has done it again here with another win over the B-Sharps. We've talked about the B-Sharps. Let's focus on Sam with a 20-88, boys. A nice score this week, having McRae as captain. And apart from that, some really nice names in that side, including Max Gawn.
Yeah, he's been rock solid again, as we've alluded to every week this year, I reckon. That new name looks like Mitch Duncan for Cripps, from what I can tell. So probably not overly stoked with his return of 79, but certainly room for improvement. But yeah, you look over his side and there's not many weaknesses. So yeah, he's placed really well and a lot of cash on the bench to start upgrading people. So yeah, certainly ominous for the rest of us.
Yeah, looking strong. This has been a common theme from pretty much day one this season, and even the back half of last season, as we've said. So yeah, Duncan would be a little bit of a concern as an in, and obviously Grundy we've touched on a few times, but yeah, people like Sicily, Whitfield and Heaney sort of continuing to do the job, which is pleasing because it just means less things to worry about. Even Butters this week as well with a ton. So yeah, looking good for the McRaes.
Very much so. All right, let's move on to our last matchup, boys. And it was Smith's Cripps going down to Hugh Stone's boys. We've talked about Hugh being our pick of the week, but Liam, obviously a disappointing result. However, holding Cripps, had to play Rochelle on field. Grundy there is his 54 and VC was a bit unfortunate, but Jaden Short, boys, as captain, was a bit disappointing there for Liam.
Yeah. Yeah, massive margin really when you look at 5 pods. 5 pods in the matchup, but yeah, the captaincy choice could not be more stark, really, could it, with a 294 compared to a 144. So that's pretty much all she wrote there. But yeah, disappointing for Liam. I think he falls to 3 and 2. And I think people would probably suggest his side is better than that. But yeah, as we mentioned earlier, Hugh really stepping up and looking quite strong the last couple of weeks as a real contender this year.
Yeah, I think for Newsy, having Cripps as a unique and holding him he was always going to be pushing the proverbial uphill this week. But yeah, Jai Coolwell, would have to be a name who is eager to move on, producing 60s in the last couple of weeks, and at a player that price and a unique selection that's certainly hurting him. So a lot of green unique there in saying that, but yeah, I think he'll need to move on him quickly, and looks like he's got plenty of cash to make him a really good player. So not a little speed bump for Newsy, but I'm sure, as you've said there, Rabs, he'll be around near the business end, you'd suspect.
Yeah, definitely, boys. Our reigning premier, of course, from last year. All right, let's have a look forward to this weekend. No Thursday night game, so it's a bit of a slow start to the round with just the Friday night game, which is nice. And then we've got two games on Monday on Anzac Day. So it's a long round again, but just getting that extra night is quite handy when teams drop. It's always a bit panicky for those couple of hours, especially if you have to make a move on the Thursday. It's always a bit stressful. So not to have that is nice. Let's go. Quick prediction, boys. Crouching Lions up against King Kunta. We have to back in the Lions, surely.
Yes.
Lions, yes.
All right, next one. Let's go. Hoffleberry FC up against your boys, Rabs. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, interesting. I guess looking at the ladder, you would have thought we should do it. But as mentioned earlier, I think my boys probably been a little bit lucky on a couple of occasions, and Surge's team has been a little unlucky. So definitely bracing for a tougher matchup than what the ladder might suggest. But yeah, hopefully Sorry, hopefully that's not known. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully we've got enough to get the job done. I think Jaden Short as a pod for him probably looms fairly large, especially after a poor performance last week. But yeah, I think it'll be an interesting matchup.
I'll be back in the Rams pretty comfortably. The only areas of concern would be Rao and potentially Crouch. But, yeah, I think get the job done. Braden Bruce is captain on my screen. That's quite optimistic, Rams. Not sure if he'll stick with that, but
back in, well, he's against the Saints as well this Friday, so maybe the VC instead.
Maybe, maybe the VC. All right, an interesting matchup here, boys. In Team Golden Child up against the Sisterhoods, looking for their back-to-back victory here. What do we see in terms of the pods? There's a few pods between them.
yeah, there is a few pods, but I do like the chance of a back-to-back here. If I was a betting man, I think I'd be on them. In saying that, though, the big three in terms of Took, Steele, and McRae, the uniques do loom large, and we know the ceilings they can have. So, yeah, but in saying that, I think the Sisterhood's a better rounded side at this stage, and I'll be backing them.
Yeah, same story here. Couldn't agree more, really. I think Zach, as we've said, has paid up big, and unfortunately hasn't really worked at the moment because of just the nature of this season so far. We haven't had those massive scores. So if those players do pull that out, he's a good chance. But no, I think the Sisterhoods will get it done.
Excellent, boys. All right, let's look ahead to Tom Fenno is up against Phenomenal, of course, is up against the midfielders. We see Fenno bouncing back, boys, this week.
Yeah, I think Secrets. Oh, sorry. I think I'll be backing Secrets. In saying that, Paddy McCartan on field, you dare say a P action to sort him out and to make him a player who can score more than 30 or 40. But yeah, you'd have to back him in, and yeah, that's where I'll be going.
Riley Bonner watch for me. With the mids seems to be very influential to their side. So no, you think Fenno should do this one fairly comfortably?
All right, boys, let's move on. The Keys are up against the Burp and Burton's boys. What do we think here? Jake obviously had a few red dots to deal with last week, and he managed to fix those up quite nicely. He's got a lot of cash to spend, as you said, Ben, this week. So a couple up, well, both teams actually have a bit of cash to splash. What's going to happen here?
I think this threatens to be a really close matchup. There's not many pods between them. I think Jake's team has definitely improved this year, and it's really a must-win match for Brad. He's got a good side, but he probably isn't sitting quite where he wants to at the moment. So this is probably going to go down to the wire. I think you'd have to back Brad, but yeah, would not be surprised at all if Jake can pull this one off.
Yeah, sorry. A lot of that was a bit blurry to me. I think I'm unstable for some reason. But I agree with everything you said at the start there, Rabs. I think this is a massive danger game for Brad. Currently 10th in the standings, so a really, really important one. And you know, Cripps, there's a little bit of uncertainty of him playing this week. I suggest he will play, but until he's actually green dot and playing on Saturday night, that would be a huge area of concern as a unique for Brad. So if he doesn't get up, I think the Keys are, they've got the keys this week. Keys to the win.
Got the keys to win. All right, let's quickly have a prediction for this one. We've got a total of Crips of the Heart up against the Glen Mountain Fan Club boys. I think for me, Newley just this week.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think Sean should hopefully get the chocolates. Very unlucky this week. Hopefully for him that will turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean by a fair way for me. Having a look at these, but you never know how it's going to go. But Nick Martin is unique against Hills. You got to wonder if he's actually watching his own team play if he doesn't have Nick Martin this year. But, anyway, we'll let it go and back to Glen Mance this week.
Very good. All right, your boys, Ben, up against the B Sharps, looking to bounce back from their pretty average week this week. Rabs, are we backing in the Guns and Roses?
Yes.
Yes.
We are.
Yes, we are. I think so. Just Cripps watch for Ben and a few other coaches, I think, this week, unless, really it'll be an interesting watch on Saturday night. Firstly, if he's named on Thursday, and then just seeing him out there as the ball is bounced will be nice. So fingers crossed. All right, let's move on to potentially our last two matchups, I would say, are definitely matchups of the round. I've got myself up against Hugh, so 7th v 3rd. Hugh coming off a wonderful performance last week, and a few of his dogs really looming large, boys.
Yeah, they a lot of dogs in this unique matchup. So Timmy English for you, Scotty, and Baz and McRae on the other side. And in a matchup of such few that could prove pivotal. Josh Kelly obviously had a little bit more midfield time last week, which would be pleasing for Liberatores. Not that transferred into a score per se, but definitely a more inside role. And Will Brodie, probably the thorn in maybe your side, Scotty, in terms of playing against him most of this year, looms quite large again at home against Carlton. So,
yeah, he does. Watching Freo Essendon last week is the first the second week in a row I've watched Freo, and he's quite unlucky to only score his 77. He seemed to be everywhere around the ball. Just that time on ground, again, is a bit of an issue for him. But, it should be a real tight matchup. I'm predicting Brodie Grundy to bounce back as well. A lot of media around how he's been performing, and up against Essendon, who are a bit of a rabble, to be honest. He could definitely bounce back. So, huge matchup. Cripps being available, it'll be nice if he's out there, but also, how good is he going to be against the tough Freo opposition? So, it should be a tight one, boys.
Yeah, all over it. I think you too. Cripps critical, as you mentioned, but I'm going to back. I'm sorry, Scotty. I'm going to back Hugh in this week because I haven't backed him for about 3 weeks. I'm going to back him this week. We'll see what happens. See if that's the curse.
See if that's it. All right, and our final matchup, boys. McRae, you've done it again. Sam up against Liam. I reckon Sam, we've been riding high on him since the start of the season, really. And I think his great form will continue.
Yes, definitely agree with that one. I think Mitch Duncan and Rao are probably the two to sort of watch in this matchup for him. O'Driscoll has been pretty solid though, as a rookie defender to this point. Where on the other side, you've sort of got Rochelle, Caldwell, Green, and Hayes, who are all capable of highs and lows there. So, for that reason, I'd be backing in Sam. Just I think probably a little bit more consistency on his side, but it will be a tight one.
Yeah, I think for Millsy, having Cripps off the bench, hopefully, obviously he's come up again in this matchup, but he'll be hoping. But obviously across the weekend, there'll be some TMZ in Melbourne between and the Mules, with a few other coaches in the competition joining that trip. So. Particularly in this matchup, obviously Crisp and at the moment Caldwell will be being yelled by Mr. Mules, and unfortunately I don't think he'll be yelling enough to get him over the line, but he'll be doing that with some help, I'm sure, in terms of alcoholic beverages. So I'm sure there'll be a bit of news to report next week, but at the moment I'll be picking the McRaes to hold on to their form.
Excellent. Yeah, looking forward to the wash up from your weekend away in Melbourne. Enjoy the footy, those coaches, and I think we'll leave it there, boys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good luck all, and yes, best of luck. We'll chat to you next week.